Wales against France were simply not strong enough when it mattered the most. Up until the 65th minute, Wales were leading, but a lack of depth and a lack of firepower in the current squad is what cost us that game. If you look back and you review it, I think you will agree. So let me just point out a key difference. The scrum weight alone was 70 kilos difference. Now, 70 kilos is an average human being. So France had an extra average human being in there. Now, obviously, average could be different in each country. Here in America, for example, 70 kilos is probably not the average, but you get my point. That is huge difference in scrum weight, and it showed throughout the game. Not only at scrum time, there was a couple of penalties that went against Wales. The push, when France got the push on, it was brutal. Just ball carrying throughout the game, having to double up on tackles, for example, against some of those massive New Zealand second row players. It would just take your toll. It's just going to take your toll. And obviously we did enough up to the 65 minutes to sort of front up and hang on. Dav Jenkins and the likes making massive amount of tackles. I think Dav Jenkins made 26 tackles in that game. Crazy. Anyway, welcome back to the Chip Over the Top Rugby podcast. My name is Ryan. I am the host here. Before we dive into it, I just want to say thank you if you are a subscriber and you keep coming back. And if you want to be a subscriber, all you have to do, smash that subscribe button below and give this video a thumbs up. It certainly helps the algorithm and get more people's eyes on this video. So, let's dive in. I wanted to upload a video on the weekend, on Sunday, after the game, but I was too upset. Just kidding. But I was close. Because we had that game within our grasp, right? It was so close up to the 65th minute. We were leading. Obviously, France were up 20 points to 17 after the first half. But Wales were hanging on. Our defence was good. And you were thinking, you were seeing signs of inspiration and attacking want and need in that Welsh squad. But again, just the depth when it mattered the most, when we had to bring off our starters and bring on the bench. Not every player, of course, but in certain key positions, that was where it mattered the most. The experiment of Dav Jenkins to 6 worked okay, I think. But in my opinion, that shouldn't have had to happen, right? Obviously, Chunza is back. Okay, he's not injured anymore. He played in a friendly for Exeter against the Army, I think. Did well, and he's obviously been brought back in a couple of times for the training squad. So I'm almost thinking, why wasn't he just brought into the squad, period, to play that game? He's obviously one of our most physical back row players. He's a machine in the gym. So that's sort of the way that I would have gone. But hey, I'm not Warren Gatland, am I? I'm just a podcaster, ladies and gents. Anyway, up until the 65th minute, like I said, we were leading, right? And we were handling France okay. France were, however, able to get over the game line multiple times due to the size of some of their players. I mean, the second rows they had were huge, massive. Mirfo and the replacement, so I'm going to butcher his name, but you know who I'm on about. He scored the try from the Gareth Davis kick, charge down to Mafanue, I believe. I'm probably butchering that, so I do apologise. But yeah, the first half I watched from a balcony of my hotel in Florida, Clearwater Beach. If you've never been, it's absolutely gorgeous. And I was overlooking the Gulf Coast and I was seeing dolphins go by and I was thinking, you know what? I'm feeling optimistic here. Wales could do something, could cause an upset against France. Now you have to think about it, right? France population, 65 million people. Wales population, 3 million. So we're always going to be punching above our weight. And this tournament has been the tournament where we have actually started to see that happen. Where truthfully, our depth is not the best, especially if we get injuries, right? In key positions. Derry Lake, for example, Jack Morgan, among others. Obviously, Falatau being injured was probably an issue as well, I think, because it would have been nice maybe to see Wainwright at 6 and Faletau at 8. But obviously we've seen the emergence of Alex Mann, so we can't really be saying that. But yeah, I was, like I said, I was on the balcony, I was looking out at the golf, and I was thinking, do you know what? I'm optimistic here. And then the second half started promising, and I was on the beach at that point getting my tan on. Before the second half, obviously, tries from Rio Dyer with an opportunistic nature of a winger. Just blitzed through the gap. France just didn't pick up the guard and the post, and it just went through. Thomas Williams, a try as well through an excellent line break by Owen Watkins. And then, obviously, Joe Roberts in the second half bounced his way to a try. But in reality, all changed in the last quarter, right? France, 25 unanswered points in the last quarter. So what changed? Well, we were outgunned. It is as simple as that. The firepower that we had on the bench just wasn't enough, and it couldn't compete. Changes to the Welsh halfbacks. Gareth Davis coming on, Johan Lloyd coming on. French front row got renewed and revitalised. And then it just started to look sort of bleak. And to be honest, at the end, I just went for a dip in the Gulf, which wasn't as warm as I was hoping for, by the way. The Gulf Coast was pretty cold, especially in March. The weather was stunning. It was like 65 Fahrenheit, which felt like 80 Fahrenheit, which in Celsius is what? Divide by 2, take away 30, 40. No, sorry, minus 30 divided by 2. So you're looking at 25 degrees Celsius. It was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous, but still. And then bringing on someone like Evan Lloyd, who is a promising future distant hooker who's only played 5 professional games at regional level, bringing him to an international game where you're playing France in a must-win game just shows the sort of stark difference where France depth versus Welsh depth is currently. And then obviously France ran out eventually, 45 points, 25 unanswered in the last 20 minutes to the Welsh 24. So that is the review of Wales v France. Let's move on to Wales v Italy on Super Saturday, this Saturday, in a must-win game. Right, so some sad news though, obviously, in light of the Welsh squad being announced today for the wooden spoon decider, as much as I hate to say it, right, which in itself is sad news for Welsh rugby, because I, amongst others, was probably feeling a little bit optimistic for this tournament. George North sadly announces his retirement from international rugby, and this weekend will be his swan song in front of a sold-out Principality. So kind of a nice send-off, but it'll only be a nice send-off if we win, in my opinion. 121 caps for George. Well, this will be his 121st cap. He's been to 4 World Cups, the most of any Welsh player. He scored 47 tries for Wales, only to be bested by Shane Williams. 4 Six Nations titles, 2 of those being Grand Slams, and 2 British and Irish Lions tours. And of course, my favourite moment is this. With that being said, it is fitting that, of course, he is brought back into the squad. And, of course, here is the squad. So, starting from 1, Gareth Thomas, Elliot Dee, Dylan Lewis. Dav Jenkins goes back to lock and captains the squad alongside Adam Beard. Alex Mann, Tommy Raffel, and Aaron Wainwright. A formidable back row, one that has actually worked well this tournament. Backs Thomas Williams, Sam Costello, Rio Dyer. And coming back into the fold, the centre partnership of Nick Tompkins, George North. Josh Adams retains his place on the wing, and then the absolute machine that is Cam Winnett at fullback. Replacements is quite young. Evan Lloyd, Kemsley Matthias, and Harry O'Connor make up the front row. Will Rowlands on the bench alongside Mackenzie Martin. And then backs Kieran Hardy, Johan Lloyd, and Mason Grady. Now, personally, I was hoping to see Mason Grady actually start this game. He's deserved a start. Like, Josh Adams hasn't been his absolute best, so I think, I, along with others, think Mason Grady deserves his slot here, especially on the wing. Rio Dyer does not deserve to come out of that squad. He's been absolutely outstanding. I think we all believe Will Rowlands deserved a start. And it was interesting to see not even Kieran Azarati or Corey Domachowski feature at all in this game. But understandably, you know, they've been very good throughout the tournament, those two pairs. So I suppose give another person a shot in Harry O'Connor and Kemsley Matthias. Personally, I think is a little unfair on Owen Watkins and Joe Roberts, as I think they did admirably. Personally, they played well. Owen Watkins made a couple breaks. Joe Roberts obviously getting this try. But it wasn't, I guess it wasn't their fault. You know, there wasn't that much firepower, that much oomph to get over the gain line. When we did spread the ball wide and Owen Watkins and Joe Roberts got the ball with quick ball, we actually looked threatening. But again, we didn't have that sort of George North to get over the gain line. But even then, when George North features, he is not the crash ball 12. It is Tompkins. And we've talked about that before. So I'm not entirely sure what is the thought process there. But this is probably an opportunity to see the future bench front row players, perhaps in Kemsley, Harry and Evan. But they have a ways to go to be nailed on starters, right? Because obviously Corey Dom, Dewi Lake and Kieran Azarati are probably step above. And obviously Dylan Lewis is still sort of young too. But this is a must-win for Wales, right? We need to ensure a bonus point victory and ensure Italy do not come away with anything to avoid the wooden spoon. Another option: Wales just have to win by 9 points, and we overtake them in the points difference. Can we do it? I think we can, but the pressure is on Wales. The pressure is on Wales. Italy have just come off the bounce of beating Scotland. And as much as I want Italy to succeed, truthfully, and follow on with their performance that they did against Scotland, I don't want them to beat Wales. Although, if Italy do beat Wales, it could be the wake-up call that the WRU needs, because to get rid of that cap rule would probably open up a few more things for the Welsh squad. We can obviously bring back Joe Hawkins and players like that, and we've talked about it multitudes of times here. But Saturday, Super Saturday, is going to be a thriller. England could clinch if Scotland beat Ireland for the first time at home. Ireland haven't lost at home in 3 years. And if England beat France, Ireland automatically win if they beat Scotland. But there is still an outside chance. If Scotland and France win on the weekends and beat their opponents by over 80 points, one of them could win. Crazy. In other news, I watched some Major League Rugby this past weekend, not in person, but on live TV in Florida because it was on. And whilst the standard was decent and I enjoyed it, and it was an improving sort of game, what was disappointing for me was the lack of just consistency in refereeing. And I don't think it is every game, but there were certain areas, and I made a post about it actually, there was just certain areas of the game, certain areas of the refereeing standards that just made the quality not as good for me. But that is just my opinion. But it is still nice to see rugby on normal TV here in America. Anyway, what do you think of the Wales squad? I don't know. I don't know what to think. Like I said, I already touched upon it. Mason Grady deserves a start. I think Will Rowlands deserves to be in there. But yeah, the news of North retiring. Let me know your thoughts below. The WRU are looking at the cap rule, from what I can understand, in June in that review. But for now, I just want to say thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr for watching and tuning in to the Chip Over the Top Rugby podcast. Once again, my name is Ryan. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I appreciate it. I'll catch you very, very soon.